All right. Chapter 10, Lesson 1, Area and Volume Review. Gonna hit one-dimensional line segments, meaning length, width, and our height. We also have two-dimensional shapes, and these are the shapes that we're commonly used to whenever we think of the word shape, right? So we think of squares, rectangles, and triangles, two-dimensional. We also have three-dimensional shapes, our solids. Example like a cube, a prism, a cone, a pyramid, and a sphere. With these types of shapes today, we're going to be looking at area and volume. Area is the measure of a space taken up by a two-dimensional figure. Right? So that's like saying the inside of this here. If I want to find the area of this square, I'm trying to see how many squared units would fit in this little guy here, inside this space. A is the variable associated with the area of the two-dimensional shape. Capital B is the variable associated with the base area of a three-dimensional solid. Area is measured in squared units, since the area is equal to the number of unit squares that covers the surface area of the figure. Really, all that means, for like example, something that we've always done is like when we say squared units, like we're talking about centimeters, that would be squared there. Or feet squared would be feet squared. Inches squared, just like that. And that's all that means. Volume, on the other hand, is a three-dimensional figure. The V is the variable associated with the volume of a three-dimensional figure. Volume is measured in cubic units, since the volume is equal to the number of unit cubes it takes to fill up that solid. Right? And that's just like when we say, for example, we use centimeters first, so this would be centimeters cubed. Have that 3 up there. Feet cubed, or inches cubed, whatever unit you want to attach to. Having this 3 up here means it's cubic. When we have the 2 up there, it means squared. Alright. And then some more variables that we're going to run into this chapter here. Capital A is what we already talked about up here, is area. Capital S and an A is surface area. V is volume. We already hit up on that over here. A capital B is base area. Lowercase b is just base. S is side. And then these we should be very familiar with L going with length, W width, H is height, R is radius. Remember, that's the distance in the middle of a circle, right? So like if I want to say the radius of this circle here would be from the center to the side. Diameter is the full length across that circle. So my diameter would be from one point to the other, fully across. Right? And now we're going to be looking at our formula. Area of a square. Right? This one here is A is equal to S squared. It's just A is equal to S squared. Next we have a rectangle. Area of a rectangle is, of course, A for area is equal to the length times width. Area for a triangle, so area is 1/2 times the base times the height. And area of a circle is pi r squared. Should all look very familiar. The height of a triangle may be shown inside the triangle or outside the triangle. Height will always form a right angle with the base of a triangle. However, the right angle symbol may not always be shown. Right? The right angle symbol is like when we see a, like let's say this is the angle, and then that little box in that corner saying that that's a right angle. This is 90 degrees right there. Okay. These examples will go quick. It says find the area of each of the following shapes. Round your answer to the nearest tenth when necessary. The tenth is the first decimal place right after that decimal there. So if I wanted to say 7.12 rounded to the nearest tenth, I'm going to this guy. I look over to its neighbor. 5 or more tells me to go up. Since it's lower than 5, this would stay at 7.1. Alright, just a little refresher on that. First we got is a square. Right, so we go up to my formula. Area of a square is A is equal to S squared. I know my formula. I know that my sides are 6. So instead of having our S there, I'm going to plug in our 6. I always plug everything in parentheses. The squared is on the outside. And we simply just hit it into our calculator. This is 6 times 6. This is 36. All right, but it's super important that we put the units. Our unit is yards. And this is area. And just like our notes on the other page there on the front, our unit is always squared. So this here is our final answer. We have a rectangle. Formula for a rectangle is length times width. My length is 7 times the width of 3. 7 times 3 is equal to 21. Attach my my units, and then it's area, so it's always squared. Not having your unit squared will be considered wrong. Alright, next we have a circle. Look up to my formula. Formula for a circle, when we're talking about area, is pi r squared. Okay. We're going to keep pi as pi for now. Radius now. Remember when I mentioned on the front page, radius is half the distance. See how this goes fully across? This here is my diameter. So in order to find my radius, I have to do the diameter and divide it by 2. Or take half of that. Half of 15. Get this into your calculator, you'll get 7.5. So 7.5 is my radius. I'm going to plug that down here. Squared. Alright, the exact number is found by leaving this as pi. We're not going to hit pi into our calculator yet. But 7.5 squared is 56 and 25/100ths. And we're going to bring pi down here. Now we're going to try to have an estimate of what this is, because again, pi goes on forever. Pi never ends. So now it's when we hit this into our calculators, and you'll do the number. We have 56.25. I want my pi symbol. My pi symbol on this calculator is down here. So I have to hit shift and then the pi. And then I can just hit equals. I have to change it to a decimal. I get 176.71458868. Okay, but my directions tell me to go to the nearest 10. So I'm looking at this place right here. Look at the right door neighbor. If it's 5 or more, this number goes up. If it's not, it stays the same. 1 is not bigger than 5. It's not 5. So this here, and my mistake, since this is the estimate, remember to do our little squiggly lines for estimation. And this is 176 tenths, 7/10. And our unit is meters squared. Right? Now we have a triangle, right? Triangle formula is area is equal to 1/2 base times height. 1/2 stays because it's part of my formula. Now I have to find the base. The base of my formula here is 16. I got it right here. So I'm going to put 16 here. My height is shown by this right angle here. Now it's this dotted line, which is 9. And again, you can just hit this exactly how it is into your calculator. So we have 1/2 times 16 times 9. I'm not sure if this will work. 72. Area is 72. My unit is miles. I'm talking about area, so it's always squared. Move on to a second triangle here. Again, my formula, we always want to write down our formula so we know exactly what we're doing, what numbers to pull. Area is equal to 1/2. My base on this one, notice that this one does not have that dotted line in the middle like I did with this one here, right? According to my little note up here, the height of a triangle may be shown inside the triangle or outside the triangle. Height will always form a right angle. So here I know I have a right angle because of the symbol, right? So my base on this one is pretty easy. My base is right here at 6. So now I'm looking at, is my height either 10 or 8? Notice it forms a right angle at the base, so leaving me with 8 representing my height. Right, see how my right angles form there? I got 8 that's attached to it, so 8 goes in for height. And then we simply just hit it into our calculators. Save us some time. I'll have area is equal to 24 inches squared. Right? Or if we wanted to switch these two around, it would be the same exact process. My right angles here, and say that's my base now. Now, since I use this angle here of 8, leaves me with 6, because these two line segments form my right angle. But notice if you hit this into your calculator, it also gives you 24 inches squared. Got our sphere. Sphere is area pi r squared. Now there's the difference between number 6 and number 3. Number 3, they gave us the diameter, that line segment that goes across the entire circle there. Here we have a circle, but doesn't give us a full line across. It gives us our radius. So there's nothing that we didn't do to this number, nothing that we need to divide it by 2. So we simply just plug it back into our formula. Pi stays as pi to begin with. Radius is 15. All this is squared. Area, to be exact, is, we hit this into our calculator, and we'll get 225. Bring down pi. Now we're going to want the estimation, or we're going to round to the nearest tenth, so we'll have area is approximately, again, we just hit this into our calculator exactly how it is, 225. One more time, multiplying it to pi, switch it over to a decimal, that's 706. 706. Directions tell us to go to the nearest tenth. Looking at this guy here, looking at the right door neighbor, 5 or more tells me that number goes up, that's 5, so that 8 changes to a 0.9. My unit is inches, and we're always squared. Got a square. Formula is A is equal to our side squared. Plug in our value for one of our sides there. See how I square? All of them are equal. They're the same. So plug in 8, and that's squared. 8 to the power of 2, or squared, is 64. Unit is feet, always squared. That's an ugly box. Last one is a triangle. Area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. Area is 1/2. The base, 14. This is my right angle right here. The height is a gimme because this dotted line represents the height at 10. 14 times 10 is 140 times 1/2. Basically just saying 140 split in half would be 70. Unit centimeters. And again, always squared. Alrighty. That's it for lesson 1.